Students, my name is Venkatesh Shea, English teacher. I am working in Sri Talabadu Jagadguru PU College High School section, Anumavantapa, Davanagere. Today in this class, I am going to teach you third lesson in 10th standard English. Name of the lesson is Gentleman of Medio, and the lesson is written by, that means the author of the lesson is John A. Sedillo. So let us know about the gentleman of Medio in this lesson. So first of all, let us know the meaning of gentleman. Whom do we call gentleman? So when we call someone gentleman, definitely that person should possess good qualities. For example, he should be a person of honesty. He should be a person of punctuality. He should be a person of a good attitude. So he should be a person of who has helping nature. He should be a person who should never speak words hurting to others. So such a person can be called gentleman. And not only that, a person who follows truth, who is always truthful. So such a person is known as a gentleman. So in this lesson, let us know about a person who is a gentleman of this place known as Medio. So Medio, it is a small place in Santa Fe County, New Mexico, United States. So now I am going to read the lesson. Listen to me. It took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. He was in no hurry. What he had the most of was time. He lived up in Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. He tilled the same land they had tilled. His house was small and wretched but quaint. The little creek ran through his land. His orchard was grand and beautiful. The day of the sale, he came into the office. His coat was old, green and faded. I thought of Senator Catron, who has been such a power with these people up there in the mountains. Perhaps it was one of his old Prince Alberts. He wore gloves. They were old and torn, and his fingertips showed through them. He carried a cane, but it was only the skeleton of a worn-out umbrella. Behind him walked one of his innumerable kin, a dark young man with eyes like a gazelle. So now let us understand the lesson. It took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. He was in no hurry. What he had the most of was time. He lived up in Rio and Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. He tilled the same land they had tilled. His house was small and wretched, but quaint. The little creek ran through his land. His orchard was grand and beautiful. So, the author is narrating the story of the gentleman of Rio and Medio. So, here there are some words. For example, negotiation. So, negotiation means official discussion. And one more word, wretched. Wretched means unpleasant. Quaint means unusual and attractive, especially in a old fashion. Creek means a small narrow stream or river. Orchard means a piece of land in which fruits are grown. So these are the some of the difficult words for which I told you the meanings. Now let me explain the lesson. It took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. So the author, what he is saying, the author and his friends took so much of time to meet and to have an official discussion with the old man of Rio and Medio. The author is saying that they took so much of time. So that means they took so many months to meet the old man of Rio and Medio to have an official discussion. But the old man was not in hurry, and not only that, he had much time. So he was not in so hurry to have such a negotiation or official discussion with the author and his friends. So the old man lived in Rio and Medio. Already I told you, Rio and Medio, it is a small village in America, United States of America. And in this Rio and Medio, his people lived for hundreds of years. So this old man belongs to Rio and Medio, where his ancestor lived for so many years. Okay, so many years, his ancestors. And what the old man did, he tilled the same land that was tilled by his ancestors, his people. And not only that, he had a small house. That house was wretched. Wretched means, I told you, it was unpleasant. The house was very small. It was not so pleasant. It was unpleasant. And it was quaint. Quaint means it was attractive. Though it was small and unpleasant, but it was attractive because the house was in a old style. It was in old fashion. And not only that, a little creek ran through his land. So in his land, a stream was flowing. A small river was flowing. In that land, he maintained an orchard. Orchard means it is a place where the trees of fruits are grown. Okay, fruits are grown. So that orchard was beautiful. That orchard was beautiful. Now, second stanza. The day of sale, he came into the office. So one particular day was fixed for official discussion and to sign a deal. So on that day, he came to office to sell his land. So in the second paragraph, the author is explaining about the appearance of the old man. So he says that the old man was wearing a coat which was old and green in color, and it was faded. So the old man who came to the office on the day of a sale. Sale means here it is nothing but selling something. So on that day he came to the office. When the old man came to the office, now you see the author what he felt. I thought of Senator Catron, who has been such a power with these people up there in the mountains. So when the old man came to office wearing an old coat which was green in color and faded, so by seeing that old man, the author remembered one person, and he was the Senator Catron of that Rio in Medio, and that Senator Catron's name was Thomas Benton Catron. So author remembers one of the persons who was the Senator Catron of Rio in Medio. And now he says about the old man. He wore gloves. They were old and torn, and fingers showed through them. He carried a cane, but it was only the skeleton, a worn out umbrella. So the old man was wearing gloves, and the gloves were torn. They were old and torn, and not only that, you can see fingers at the tip of the gloves. The fingers were appearing at the tip of the gloves. And not only that, he carried a cane, and the cane was not a cane, but it was the skeleton of an umbrella. That means the old man brought a torn out umbrella. And not only that, behind him walked one of his innumerable kin, dark young man with the eyes like gazelle. So along with old man, one boy came. He was his relative. He was black in color, young, and his eyes like a gazelle. He had a gazelle eyes. So gazelle means a type of a small deer which has a large beautiful eyes. So the younger man who came along with the old man, he had a gazelle, eyes of a gazelle. So now the third paragraph. The old man bowed to all of us in the room. Then he removed hat, gloves, slowly and carefully. Chaplin once did that in a picture in a bank. He was the janitor. Then he handed his things to the boy who stood behind him obediently. Fourth paragraph. There was a great deal of conversation about Rain and his family. He was very proud of his large family. Finally, we got down to business. Yes, he would sell, as he had agreed, for $1,200 in cash. We would buy, and the money was ready. Don Anselmo, I said to him in Spanish, we have made a discovery. You remember that we sent that surveyor, that engineer up there to survey your land so as to make the deed. Well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres. He tells us that your land extends across the river and that you own almost twice as much as you thought. He didn't know that. And now, Don Anselmo, I added, these Americans are buona gente. They are good people and they are willing to pay you for the additional land as well at the same time same rate per acre, so that instead of $1,200 you will get almost twice as much, and the money is here for you. So now, in the third paragraph, the author is explaining about the behavior of the old man. So when the old man entered the office, what he did? So about his mannerisms, the author has explained in the third paragraph. The old man bowed to all of us in the room. As soon as the old man entered the office room, he bowed his head and respected all the people, those who are in the office. Then he removed hat and gloves slowly and carefully. After respecting each and everyone by bowing his head, so next what he did is he removed his hat slowly and carefully, and not only hat, he also removed his gloves, that too slowly and carefully. Chaplin once did that in a picture in a bank. He was the janitor. So now all these activities of the old man, okay, are just like the activities that are being done by a great hero known as Charlie Chaplin. So he acted in the same way what the old man did when he entered into the office. So in a movie, in the scene of bank, Charlie Chaplin has acted as a janitor. So the author is making the reference of Charlie Chaplin, okay, with the old man. After removing his hat and gloves, the old man handed over all those things to the boy who came with the old man and who stood behind the chair. And he took all the things from the old man, stood the back of the chair, okay, obediently. Now, fourth paragraph. There was a great deal of conversation about Rain and his family. Now the old man, the author and others who came to office to discuss regarding the sale of the land, so they had a talk, they had a conversation, a good deal of conversation regarding Rain and family. So as soon as the old man entered the office, he didn't start speaking about his business. Instead of talking about his business, what he did, he spoke about family as well as Rain. He says that, the old man says that he was very proud of his large family. The old man says that he is very proud of his large family. Finally, we got down to business. Now the author is saying that they started to speak about business. Yes, he would sell as he agreed for $1,200 in cash. The author is saying that the old man has agreed to sell his land for $1,200, that too in cash. Now the author is saying we would buy and the money was ready. Okay, the author and the people who had come to purchase the land, they said that they were ready to buy the land of the old man and the money was ready. Now, the author is speaking to the old man. Don Anselmo, I said to him in Spanish, we have made a discovery. So, the old man's name was Don Anselmo. So, the author is saying to Don Anselmo, the old man of Rio and Medio, that they have made a discovery. So, what is the discovery? The author and the people who had come to office to purchase the land of old man, they had sent a surveyor who was an engineer to survey the land of the old man. So when that surveyor went and surveyed the land, they came to know that the land was double. The land was double. Okay, and now they were ready to pay more money for that extra land. Well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres of land. So the surveyor who went and surveyed the land came back and told the author and the people who came there to office that the old man's land was more than 8 acres. That means it was double. So totally the land was about 16 acres. Your land extends across the river and that you own almost twice as much as you thought. So the author is saying to the old man that he owns more land. Okay, it is more than what he thought. And he also says that the Americans were buona gente. Buona gente means good people. So author says that Americans were good people and they were willing to pay more money or extra money to the extra land. That means they were ready to pay more than $1,200 to the extra land. So in that way, the author says that the Americans were very good. Fifth paragraph, the old man hung his head for a moment in thought. Then he stood up and stared at me. Friend, he said, I don't like to have you speak to me in that manner. I kept still and let him have his say. I know these Americans are good people and that is why I have agreed to sell to them, but I don't care to be insulted. I have agreed to sell my house and land for $1,200 and that is the price. I argued with him, but it was useless. Finally, he signed the deed and took the money, but refused to take more than the amount agreed upon. Then he shook hands all round, put on his ragged gloves to his stick, took his stick and walked out with the boy behind him. So now to the fifth paragraph. So when the author said that the Americans were ready to, the people who had come to pay, the people who had come to purchase the land were Americans. So they were ready to pay more money for extra land. So listening to that, hearing those words, now let us see what was the action of the old man. The old man hung his head for a moment in thought. So the old man, what he did was, he hung his head and he was thinking something. Afterwards, he stood up and stared at me. The old man stood up and stared at the author and said to author, friend, the old man said, the author, friend, I don't like to have you speak to me in that manner. The old man is saying to the author that he did not like the way the author spoke to, the manner in which the author spoke to old man. So now the author kept still. He wanted to listen what the old man was going to say. So the old man said that, I know these Americans are good people. I know. The old man is saying that he knows that the Americans are good people, and he says that that's why I have agreed to sell them my land. So the author knew that the Americans were good people, and therefore he agreed to sell his land to the Americans. So now the old man is saying, I don't care to be insulted. So the words of author insulted the old man. So therefore the old man could not tolerate the way in which the author spoke to the old man. So now the author is saying that I have agreed to sell my house and land for $1,200, and that is the price. So the old man is saying to the author that he has agreed to sell his land, his house only for $1,200, and that is the final price. Okay. Afterwards, the author argued with the old man. So it is given in the 6th paragraph. I argued with him, but it was useless. Though author argued with the old man, but his argument with the old man was useless. Finally, he signed the deed and took money, but refused to take more than the amount agreed upon. But the old man was not ready to take more money. Okay, he did not take more money and signed the agreement, the deed, and sold his land to the Americans and took $1,200. After signing the agreement, what he did, the old man shook hands all round. So the old man, okay, shook hands all round, okay, and put his ragged gloves. Again he wore the ragged gloves and took his stick, that umbrella, and walked out of the office with the boy behind him. So in this way, the agreement was signed between the Americans and the old man with the help of the author. 7th paragraph. A month later, my friends had moved into Rio and Medio. They had replastered the whole house, pruned the trees, patched up the fence, and moved in summer. One day, they came back to the office to complain. The children of the village were overrunning their property. They came every day and played under the trees, built little play fences around them, and took blossoms. When they were spoken to, they only laughed and talked back good naturally in Spanish. So, after purchasing the land, the Americans, what they did, after 1 month, they came to Rio and Medio. And after coming back to Rio and Medio, so what they did is, they replastered their house, which was purchased by them from the old man. And not only that, they pruned the trees. Prune means to cut off some branches of a tree to make it grow better. Pruning. Pruning means to cut the branches of the trees so that the tree can grow better. So they replastered the house, pruned the trees, and patched the fence. Okay. and moved in summer. After doing all this, they came to the house in summer season. After coming to the house in Rio and Medio, so what happened? You see, one day they came back to the office to complain. The Americans who had purchased the land from the old man, so what they did? They came back to the office. What for? They came back to the office to give a complaint. To give a complaint about whom? About the children of Rio and Medio. So we can see in this line, the children of the village were overrunning their property. What was the complaint of the Americans? The complaint of the Americans was that the children of Rio and Medio, so what they are doing? They were overrunning the property of the Americans. What was that property? That property was nothing but the land, the trees, the house that was purchased by the Americans from the old man, and these children every day, what they were doing? They were going to that house, and what they were doing? They were causing a damage to the property. So what they were doing? They came every day and played under the trees. The children of Rio and Medio, what they were doing? They were coming to that land and playing under the trees. Playing under the trees. Built little play fences around them. So the children were building, fences around the trees, and took blossoms, and they were plucking the flowers from the plants and trees. When they were spoken to, they only laughed and talked back good naturally in Spanish. So when those children were advised, told not to come and do such things, the children were laughing and they were speaking back to the Americans in a Spanish language. So this was the complaint. The Americans were disturbed by the children because the children were causing damage to the property. So this was not liked by the Americans. Totally they were disturbed, and therefore they came to the office to lodge a complaint against the children who were disturbing them again and again. So it was not liked by them. So therefore they came back to office to tell about this to the author. Okay, children.